Okay, here's how it works. Your floating kit consists of two parts, and that is invisible string and sticky wax. Now I know this doesn't look like invisible string, but it's actually 50 invisible strings, and you're only going to use one at a time. So if one of them breaks, you just take out another one. This is how you set it up. You're going to want it, when you first learn how to do this, you're going to want to work on a white surface with bright light because it's very hard to see. That's why it's called invisible. What you're going to do is you're going to take out one single invisible thread and then you're going to want to take a piece of Scotch tape or any clear plastic one-sided tape you can find at most stores. And you're going to want to wrap that invisible string around the tape. Now I like to use approximately 3 feet of invisible string at a time, or approximately an arm's length. So you're going to slide it out approximately 3 feet, and then you're going to take a small piece of your sticky wax, approximately a size of a piece of rice, and you're going to stick that to the other end of the invisible string. Roll the wax between your thumb and your finger so you make sure that the wax is securely attached to that invisible string. And now you have the device set up. You have your invisible string attached to the Scotch tape on one end, and on the other end you have a piece of sticky wax. Now, what I like to do is I like to take the piece of Scotch tape and tape it to the back of my ear. Or you could tape it to the inside of your collar, a pair of glasses, wherever you feel comfortable wearing it. Now that you're ready to float something, all you have to do is stick the piece of wax to whatever you want to float. For example, a card. Now that you know how the device is set up, I'm going to show you how to do the tricks with a piece of dental floss taped to my ear so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I have a piece of dental floss taped to the back of my ear, and I have a big piece of wax on the other end of the dental floss. This is so you can see all the moves. Now how I like to start out is I like to have the sticky wax on the back of my thumbnail. So you want to conceal that either by putting your finger over it or have your thumbnail facing away from the audience. Now you're ready to float something. We'll start out with a dollar bill or any denomination sized bill. What you're going to want to do is pick up the bill and you're going to want to stick the wax to the center. You're actually going to do it with the bill facing you so they won't see you transfer the wax from your thumbnail to the bill. You can crumple up the bill around the string. Do that carefully so you don't break the thread by accident. You'll get a feel of the thread once you work with it for a while, the strength that it can hold and how delicate it is. It's actually pretty strong considering it's so thin. Now it's attached, so you're ready to float it. Now if you're leaning over, it'll just float in the air like that. Now if you want to move it around, I like to control it between my thumb and my finger so I can move the bill around. I usually like to hold one hand underneath to give it the illusion that it's floating. If I just have one hand above, then some people might catch on that it's a string attached to your hand or somewhere else. And you want to make sure too to keep your movement smooth, because if you're moving your hand around, it's going to ruin the illusion that the bill is floating. To pass the bill through a hoop, form a diamond with your index fingers and your thumb, and you can have it pass right through a hoop. Okay? To take it off, just slide the wax off onto your thumbnail, and you can hand the bill out for examination. To do the card's a little bit more difficult if you want to be able to spin it. How I like to do the card is I like to attach it. I like to use a face card so that will conceal and help camouflage the wax, make it harder to notice. You always want to stick it directly on the center. To have it float off the table or someone's hand, I always like to put it wax side down so that way they won't see the wax. To have it come up, you can wave your hands over it because the string's just going down. So the string's behind your arm, gives the illusion that there's nothing above it. To have it flow off the table, just catch it between your thumb and your finger. Okay. To do the spin, hold it with your thumb on the top, your index finger on the corner, and your middle finger underneath. It's kind of like throwing a frisbee, but you want to make sure that you don't toss the card, that you just want to spin it without throwing it out, because otherwise you'll break the thread. So it'll look like this. So you throw it out, then catch it with your thumb, between your thumb and your finger. And you can transfer it to hand, or you can just let gravity take its course, or just give it a little push to have it go over. And what I like to do is I like to get it with my left hand too, so that way you'll unwind the string, because if you always do it clockwise or counterclockwise, eventually the string will tangle and it will break more often. To do the moves with it, we just showed you hand to hand. Now to go through a hoop, you're just going to bring, I'm doing it with my right hand, bring your right arm up, tilt your elbow up, touch your fingers, and have it go through. That gives an illusion that's going through the hoop. Okay, so touching fingers, right hand up, left elbow down, let go, and it will give the illusion that's going through a hoop or a loop. Now, to have it go around the body, how I like to set this up is I like to make a joke. Would you like to see it float around my body? And I actually manually float it around my body like that. People think it's a joke. Now it's wrapped around the back of my neck. And to send it back around, give it a good spin, have it float all the way back around. And it will float all the way back around you. I don't really have enough room to do it right here in this with the backdrop right behind me. But it will work just like you saw in the demo trailer. Now the last thing I'd like to show you is the coin. This is usually how I like to do the grand finale. I'll use my own card and I'll say to someone, have a coin, borrow their coin, transfer the wax to it. If you want to have it float off the table, put it wax side down to your hand. How you spin the coin is you're going to want to have the wax side down, and I just give it a spin with my index finger and my thumb. I do it counterclockwise, and it'll spin in the air like a UFO. To pass it through a hoop, same way we did a dollar. And float it back up, scrape the wax off, and you can hand it out. So there you go. There's how to float a dollar, a card, a coin. You can do other things too. You'll have to experiment with that. This does take a little bit of practice, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to amaze your family and friends. So have a lot of fun out there.